Hey guys, today I'm going to talk to you about communicating within a relationship. So, usually within a relationship, there's going to be two different kinds of communication. There's going to be direct communication, and then there's going to be more empathetic or emotional communication. Usually, by stereotype, men are the more direct communicators, women are the more emotional communicators. Now, these roles can be reversed from time to time, but for the most part, these are the two different kind of communication types that are going to crop up whenever you're communicating within a relationship. So we're going to talk about the direct communicators first. Say you went out to the store, got some milk, came back. You get back into the house, and your spouse asks you, "Where are you at?" You're like, "Oh, I was at the store." Okay, cool. That's the end of that conversation. That's direct communicators right there. They want bullet point answers. They want to know all the important highlights of what happened, and then they're done with that conversation. Whenever you're communicating with someone who is a direct communicator, you want to make sure you don't ramble on. You can come on and be like, "Oh yeah, I went to the store and then I saw Jenny and we got to talking." You're going to see them like, "Oh God." They're going to roll their eyes, and then you're going to be like, "What? You asked me where I went." And it's like they didn't ask you for all that information. In their mind, they're like, "I just want to know where you went. You told me where you went, and that is all I needed to know." Going on there is going to cause conflict with that communication style, and that's just because that's more information than what they were asking for. Making comments beyond that point is kind of challenging them, and at that point, that's going to cause more communication issues with their specific communication type. If you're in especially if you're in a relationship where there's like anything like trust issues, offering any sort of assurance whenever they feel you can't be trusted is also going to be causing issues that will spark a lot of, I guess, sarcastic responses. And that's going to cause more issues within there. So if you can identify your spouse as a direct communicator, generally, if they're asking you questions, if they're wanting to have a conversation with you, then they're going to want you to give you those bullet point answers like, "Here's why I was at, here's what I was doing, have a good day." On the other side of that coin, there is the emotional side. There's they want more detail out of it. This is usually stereotypically it'll be with women. You also see this with a lot of men that have trust issues, where they'll want more detail in your answer. Same scenario. You get home from the store, your spouse is waiting for you, and they're like, "Where were you at?" Like, "Oh, I was at the store, but I thought that we were going to go together." Now, anything that you say beyond this point that does not directly empathize with what the root cause of their concern is going to cause an argument, or it's going to make this carry on into a little bit more of a frustrating route. At this situation, just based off the context that I gave you, the person that the spouse felt left out. They're like, "Hey, we had made these plans." Maybe it was something as simple as going to the store, but we had made these plans and you went without me. So they felt left out. So replying to that on an emotional level and letting them know that you understand that they feel left out, and then providing them with the why you decided to go without them, is going to be what makes this conversation a lot easier for you. Them feeling left out isn't always the root cause of it. You're going to have to understand your spouse and be able to determine the root cause of it and be able to speak to that root cause to make these conversations easier. But when it comes down to those conversations, being able to speak to what it is that they're concerned about, let them know that you understand how they feel and why it is that you decide to make that decision is going to make that conversation a lot easier. When you're having these conversations with your spouse, you have to take time with these conversations. If you're a direct communicator, then you can't just give bullet point answers to this. You have to take your time with this. You have to spell some things out for them, not because they're dumb, but because at the end of this conversation, they want to walk away knowing that you understand how they feel. You don't want to rush things along. You want to make sure that they have a chance to let everything sink in. So whenever you say something, you don't want to force them to reply to you like quickly. You don't want to force an answer out of them. Just let everything sink in. Whenever you're communicating with them, whenever you say your piece, a couple of don'ts. Whenever you're communicating with emotional communicators, don't cut them off. That will start a fight. As I said before, this takes time, so don't rush an answer out of them. And also, the last thing to keep in mind, if they say okay and they decide to drop it, that is not admission that they are agreeing with you. That is just them deciding or making the decision that it's not worth it to carry this conversation any further. As just a little bit about different communication styles. There's a little bit more I can say on this, but I'll probably wait till next week. But hopefully this helps, guys. Have a good week.